Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a really fascinating ancient concept, one that honestly feels like it was made to explain our modern obsession with excess. So let's start with the question. Do you ever just feel like the whole world is stuck on more? You know that feeling? It's like the default setting for everything is just cranked way up. I mean, it's this constant, relentless push, right? To have more stuff, to get more done, to be more. It's in our jobs, our social media, it's just everywhere. And it's not just about having more, it's about getting it faster. Faster shipping, faster news, faster everything. There's almost no room left to just breathe, to pause and reflect. And all of that speed, all of that more, it feeds this culture of now. Instant gratification. We want our food, our info, our entertainment, and we want it immediately. Patience, that seems to be in pretty short supply. So you've got this endless consumerism, you see political extremes flaring up, maybe you even feel that personal burnout yourself. And it's so easy to look at all these things as separate problems, right? But what if they're not? What if they're all tangled together, stemming from the exact same root cause? Well, to untangle all that, we're actually going to look way back, because there's this ancient idea, this sort of art of enough, that gives us a single word to perfectly capture our modern mess. And that word is doyan. It's an Arabic term, and it comes from a root verb that literally means to overflow. So picture a river breaking its banks. That's the idea. It's the act of going too far, of crossing a line, exceeding the proper, healthy limit. And this isn't just about, say, spending too much money. As the classical scholar al-Isfahani put it, Tughyan is about exceeding the limit in everything. That's the key part. It can be in knowledge, in our actions, in wealth, in power. It's a universal pattern of imbalance. Okay, so once you have this concept of Tughyan in your head, you start seeing it everywhere. It's this pattern of exceeding the limit that shows up in our personal lives, our societies, and even on a global scale. The source material we're looking at really breaks it down into these key areas where we humans tend to cross that line. You've got natural resources, wealth, food, relationships, even politics. You can almost think of this list as a kind of diagnostic checklist for where things are out of balance. And here's what's really interesting. Take wealth, for instance. Tughyan isn't just one thing, it's a spectrum of imbalance. On one end, you have extravagance, just wasteful spending. But the other extreme is also a form of Tughyan, being a miser, hoarding wealth, and not letting it do any good for anyone. See? Both are a problem. Both are a form of crossing the line. And this same logic gets applied to politics. The source material here defines political Tughyan as any major move away from a just middle ground. So from this viewpoint, it sees things like far-right extremism, with its calls for supremacy, and what it describes as far-left extremism, with calls to abolish poor values, as two sides of the same coin. Both are seen as a transgression, a way of going too far from a balanced center. Okay, so with that ancient idea in our back pocket, we can now zoom in on what might be the biggest form of Tughyan in our world today, the tyranny of consumerism. The source really zeroes in on our modern consumer society as like the ultimate expression of Tughyan. I mean, it's a system that's literally built on the idea of making you feel like you never have enough. It's designed to make you exceed your limits. And you see the fallout everywhere, don't you? It's the insane overconsumption of natural resources. It's the mountains of food and clothes we throw away. It's the crushing debt so many of us are in, often for stuff we didn't even really need. And it's that constant social pressure, that competition to look a certain way. The whole system is just geared to keep us on a hamster wheel of wanting. This quote from the scholar Yusuf al-Qaradadi really hits the nail on the head. He says that this kind of excessive consumption is a form of tughyan that squanders resources and, maybe even more importantly, distorts our values. It's not just about the stuff we buy, it's about how that buying changes our idea of what's actually important in life. All right, so if tughyan, exceeding the limit, is the disease, what's the cure? Well, the same sources that give us this powerful diagnosis also lay out a path for how to get back to a state of balance. And it's basically a three-step journey. Step 1 is seeking wasatiyah, That's balance, finding the just middle path in everything we do. Step 2 is shukr, or gratitude. This isn't just saying thanks, it's about actively using what we have with intention and moderation, not wastefully. And finally, there's mas'wuliyah, responsibility. Recognizing that we have a duty, a real responsibility to our communities and to the planet. And this table just lays it all out so clearly. It's a perfect summary. For every single domain where we see tultyan, that transgression, there's a corresponding solution, a path back. From overconsumption to conservation, from wild spending or hoarding to purposeful spending, and from political extremes back to a just middle path. It's basically a blueprint for shifting from imbalance back to balance. And all of this brings us right back to you, to a final, really important question. In a world that is screaming more, more, more at you 24/7, where can you find your enough? Because this ancient concept, tugyan, it really challenges us to do something pretty radical today, to draw our own line in the sand, to decide for ourselves what enough really looks like. So what does that look like for you?